Hello, thank you so much. And although I'm very much looking forward to the next speakers, I'm also sorry not to hear more about what's happening in Helsinki, because the strategy, the intelligence, the quality of the work that you're doing is just so inspiring. And thank you very much for sharing it with us. But it's very important to finish strong, and you had two great theatre makers earlier this morning, and we've got two more theatre makers, and we are going to finish on time, which means this session will finish at 3:25 come what may. I'm going to go to Andy first and ask him to introduce himself. Thank you, Andy.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you for including me today, and thank you to everyone that's stayed to this part of the day. I'm giving my presentation first. I've got a slideshow to share, so if you just bear with me a moment, I'll set that up, and then I will crack on. Can you all see that? No one can answer me. I'm going to keep going, assuming that you can. So my name is Andy Barry. I'm a director and I'm the Elders Programme producer at the Royal Exchange Theatre in Manchester. My presentation is about a very specific project called We'll Be in Touch, which was about how the lockdown conditions led us to engage new people in new ways. Although I am going to give a bit of wider context about the company as well. Thanks to Elaine for mentioning our work earlier. That was really nice to hear. I feel like I ought to address as well the title of our project, The Elders Company. There's been quite a bit of chat in the chat today about language, and it's actually a conversation I have a lot with people, and I'm aware that it's sometimes a barrier to people taking part and signing up to the company because they're reluctant to be associated with older or elders. And I do understand why people feel that, but I also think it's quite revealing of the ageist society we live in that celebrates youth and young, and we have a young company at the Exchange as well, and that maybe wants to disassociate or other being older. So the flip side of that is I love it when the members that we do have love saying that they're part of the Elders, and it is a real source of pride for them. And I feel like in some small way, hopefully we're reclaiming and reframing that word, which I'm personally very excited about because as someone said earlier, we're all aging. And so I'm really excited to embrace getting older and to becoming an elder, actually. So yeah, I thought I'd better just touch on that. So I thought I'd start with a bit of context about the Royal Exchange Theatre, in case you're not familiar with it. Our theatre there in the middle occupies Manchester's Grade 2 listed Royal Exchange, and the theatre is a theatre in the round, and it's that sort of central spaceship looking structure that you can see. This is inside the theatre. We're the UK's largest producing theatre in the round, and we're a cultural hub and home for audiences and artists and communities. This photo is actually of a roundtable discussion we had in 2019 with older and young people in our space about creative ageing. So our Elders Company began in 2014 for older people who are curious about theatre, who want to meet new people, and also challenge stereotypes around ageing. And following consultation in 2019, we actually developed a model that allows us to involve more people. So we now recruit a new company of people each year, while the existing members become graduates of the company so that we can maintain a relationship with them. Each year, the company, which is about 25 people who usually don't know each other, come together and take part in weekly sessions and have opportunities to take part in other projects around that. And I guess it's sort of like a foundation year, really, that builds their confidence and their skills, sets them up as a group, and solidifies their relationship with us as an arts organisation. And then the graduates also have performing opportunities as well as the company members, and can take part in our regular public program called Elders Mondays, which is an open access program of different theatre related activity sessions that people can drop in and out of. And then both company members and graduates also have intergenerational sessions and performance opportunities alongside our young company. This year we piloted a project called the Dream Project that we're hoping to repeat. This was to address the underrepresentation of older African and African Caribbean diaspora people in our programs of work. And the project culminated, it was very open at the beginning about what it was going to be. So it was very co-created with them and the artist who led it, Cheryl Martin. And it culminated in a production called Dominoes, Andalias and Aware. And we're hoping that some of these new recruits will continue a relationship with us as well as take part in the wider programme. We also have a volunteer programme which is about supporting some of our elders graduates to lead and initiate their own projects, as well as take an active role in helping us shape the programme. That's called Elders Leaders. So the project that I'm going to talk about for the second part, or for the next few minutes, developed as a response to the lockdown, and it was led by our Elders Leaders, and it was a series of phone-based projects. So like many organisations, as we've been hearing, COVID impacted our organisation greatly, but we quickly supported a lot of our older people to get online and continue taking part with us, which was great. But the phone projects really developed as a result of some of the elders that you can see here becoming aware that not everyone was online or wanted to be online or wanted to take part in this way. And so we developed a project called Phone a Friend, whereby some of the existing members who the leaders knew weren't accessing stuff online would receive a phone call, and over a series of weeks they developed a story together. And as the lockdowns went on, some of the elders leaders were saying to me, we're really craving new challenges. We you know, the stuff you're doing is great, but we want to be pushed and we want to go further. So towards the end of 2020, we reconnected with a partner organisation called Together Dementia Support that we'd been working with before the pandemic. And actually the project we've now developed is probably the most successful work we've done with them in terms of impact and engagement. And we also worked with a company called Small Things Creative Projects to help develop this brand new phone project, which I'm going to tell you about. And I think the unique aspect that I really enjoy about the project is that it's older people supporting other older people. And we've heard a lot about older people not being a sort of homogenized group. And I think that's really important. And I think this project taps into some of that. So while I'm talking, you're going to see a film, and I'll post a link in the chat to the full film. It's a bit too long for me to show, but the film captures the project, which was called We'll Be in Touch. And the way the project worked was that we would get referrals from Together Dementia Support, who we would then match with our elders leaders. The project was a time-limited project. This felt important for both the participants and the volunteers, as the ending of the project was always going to be hard, so it felt better to set that up clearly from the beginning. And it also removed the pressure for volunteers to make a long commitment or to feel bad when the phone calls ended. We were also very clear that this was a creative phone service, so it wasn't a befriending scheme. It was a very specific type of contact to support imagination and creativity. And by partnering with Together Dementia Support, we knew that the individuals we were working with had support systems in place if they needed that. So training was provided for the volunteers, which included a dementia awareness session, as well as a guide on how to lead the phone calls. And to begin with 4 and then 6 sessions were co-planned with our leaders, and these could be delivered in any order. And they all took their inspiration from theatre, and in particular shows that had been on at our theatre. So each phone call was structured to last between 15 and 25 minutes. And the first part included the reading of a poem that was read aloud and discussed. So for example, in one week, they read the lyrics from Somewhere from West Side Story, which had recently been on at the theatre. And the second part of the call was a series of questions to generate a new poem on the theme linked to the one that had been read. So in this case, they made a poem up about the place where the participant was calling from. The participants enjoyed the connection and the opportunity to create, and the volunteers enjoyed the challenge of guiding the phone call and capturing verbatim the participants' words to shape the poem. After each session, volunteers would complete a reflection sheet, which was automatically emailed to me, so any immediate problems would be flagged. And then we'd have a Zoom supervision session each week where they could talk about any challenges or prep for the following week. And after each round of the project, the poems would be sent to the participants. And this film was actually made as part of the Disrupt Festival in 2021. And the project has continued beyond the lockdown. And after the most recent round, we were actually able to come together for the first time. So we invited the participants to the theatre, we had tea and cake, and we had an informal poetry reading. And we plan to continue it as part of a regular part of the programme, because it's a really valuable way for us to challenge the elders leaders, but also reach new people who might be facing barriers to come and take part with us. There's some feedback there. The darker red comments are from the leaders, and the brighter orange comment is from one of the participants. I can let you read those for yourself, but basically the basic promise of the project is quite simple, but the outcomes I think are quite transformational for both parties. Working in partnership has been key for us. I think it challenges perceptions around dementia as well, and it supports people to live well with dementia. And it's also generated other outcomes. So there's an audio outcome that we made as well, which I will also post in the chat. Thank you very much.
That was wonderful. There's lots I'd like to ask and talk about, but I'm also very keen that we move to Kathrin. My colleague Harriet, who's actually competent and technical, is on this call. I wanted to point out that Andy has been leading a group of older people's theatre companies, a network that we supported for a while. And there's a report on our website called A New Form of Theatre, which is reference to the great Japanese director Ninagawa-san, who created a marvelous older people's theatre company. And also we produced a report called Key Workers, which tried to collect together some of the many different ways in which participatory artists were responding during lockdown to creative aging. But let's move to Kathrin. The Bering Foundation's got a report on just about everything, including Nordrhein-Westphalia. So we're going to move to Düsseldorf, and Harriet can put that report in the chat as well. Thanks, Kathrin.
Yes, hello. Thank you to be here. It was very exciting so far. I think I'm the last on the list, and I think I don't have to add so much to what have been said already. I can say yes to so many things I've heard so far. So just let's shortly introduce myself. My name is Kathrin Sievers. I'm a director in Düsseldorf, and I there work with a senior theatres group. It's called Senior Theatre in the Old Town of Düsseldorf, and the group exists since more than 30 years. And I'm leading it since 6 years. And in the beginning of their work, they had been incredibly, it had been an absolute novelty, and they had been invited to many festivals, international festivals, even because it was so outstanding that old people do theater, which is fortunately not the case anymore. So nowadays, there's a lot going on in Germany in general. I think Germany is a bit, you could compare it maybe to Finland according to the awareness on the governmental side to the benefit from which results from cultural work. So there's a lot of grant money, funds and everything. We also profit from that. We are funded by the city of Düsseldorf mainly, but also through some other institutions and also some private sponsors, so that we can afford to continuously work on one production a year. And I think unlike most of the groups who are presented here or did present themselves here, we are rather traditionally working. So when I joined the group, the outline of the group was very clear. They wanted to plays which exist. They don't want to experiment on open subjects, or not. They don't want to talk about their personal lives and their personal stories, but they adore to melt into some fictional character. So what we do is to decide as a whole group upon a play in the beginning of our rehearsal time. So most of the time I suggest several plays, and we get into discussion about it, and then we decide upon it, and then we rehearse it about 9 months. And of course we adapt it and we rewrite it, and I've also written complete plays newly, but the process is rather traditional in the way that most of the time I'm deciding, or I say what's going on. It's not that I don't want to. I always try to instigate discussions with my actors, but they just love the process of getting a role and feel themselves into the character during the month of rehearsals. We rehearse 2 times a week for 4 hours each, and we've got about from 15 to 20 active members, and also some more 10 inactive members who frequently join the rehearsals out of interest. And what else to say? Maybe we can, I brought a few photos from some of our shows. Jack, could you please, just to get an impression, just so, that was from our play Shock-Headed Peter, which we did, but not in the, I rewrote it actually, and we had also a composer performing live music, and we did a lot of singing. And just move on, Jack, with the next photos, please. Yeah, that was also from Shock-Headed Peter. We've got an enormous talent of a lot of musicians in our group. The lady who was at the right side, she was a professional pop singer for 40 years, that one on the right side. And but the others too, they can play instrument, they sing a lot, and So of course we adapt very much the plays to the capacities of our members. Because physical as well as mental capacities are not distributed evenly. We have like about 5 or 6 active members deep in their 80s and 2 about 90. And one is nowadays in a wheelchair. And of course, I adapt the play, or we adapt the play to everybody who wants to participate. Basically, the group is open to everybody who wants to join it. So people who are interested to do theater, this was from Peer Günd. We got an award for that. Can join the group. They are asked to visit rehearsals for a couple of weeks to feel themselves into the work. And if they are interested, they can participate. So there's nothing like proper casting or a talent competition or whatever. No, everybody who wants to participate can participate. Yeah. Next photo, I think that's about it. So of course, during the rehearsal process, we talk a lot about where want to be go with the play. What shall it be about? Have we to rewrite passages? We do improvisations to find, of course, new lines for things who seem too old-fashioned or too just not important enough. So what we try, I think, is to end up with a good play, with something which meets our standards of quality. And it always depends on the play we've got. Like last time we did 3 Sisters from Chekhov. which is a difficult play in my opinion. And so I did a lot of interviews with everybody in the cast in beforehand, asking them a lot of questions. And we ended up with a play where we kept most of the characters, invented some new ones. And but the play was then about a group of seniors in some environment, reminding maybe of some seniors residents in Southern Europe who felt themselves being stuck there, and that society and politics and everything was moving away from them, and that they didn't feel like having a proper role in society, which is the theme of the play itself. But of course, we transferred it to nowadays, and the questions older people in society ask themselves: what can they do? And especially in times like that, with climate change and war and tyrants all over the place, they ask themselves, what can we contribute to the world? So that's what we're doing basically. So I think, yeah, also we experiment a lot with aesthetic forms. I did a project where we shot videos, and after that, I presented the videos to other people in the cast, and they had to interact with the videos. Unfortunately, we were stopped by COVID within this project. I wanted to build a performance out of that, but we couldn't go on. I couldn't do any live rehearsals anymore. But also we use a lot of choreography. I have a choreographer who is working with us, and we do music. And we did a project, I hired a contract killer after the movie of Aki Kaurismäki from the 90s. I don't know if you know it, the famous Finnish film director. There's not much text in it, and we built the whole play around sound. So we had 6 microphones in front of the stage, and literally every sound in the play, drinking or a water kettle, whistling or accelerating or braking cars or whatever, everything was done in an exaggerated way by the actors themselves. So they were switching all the time between acting on stage and producing the sounds for the performance. But yeah, so I think I can support what most people here, or a lot of people in this conference said. This the main drive for this work, and for the actors in the group, is that they want to learn. They still want to learn. They want to experience themselves through developing performing skills. And they want to be challenged by intensive rehearsals, like memorizing lines, memorizing actions on stage, develop feelings, getting into a true interaction with others. And I think I'm a rather demanding director in that sense, because I work a lot. I've done a lot of work with professional acting students and professional actors, and I always try to get the most out of my people. And they find it challenging but rewarding. This is what I get as a feedback. And yeah, I wanted to say a bit about COVID-19. Of course, that hit us in the middle of a rehearsal process. It was first difficult, so we had like a shock period of 4 weeks, and then I thought it is absolutely necessary that we meet up again somehow. So I introduced Zoom conferences. And at first, most of them were very reluctant and anxious about it. But the first 3, they immediately said, yes, we try it. And when the others heard, oh, they get connected and we get to Zoom. So everybody, in the end, everybody wanted to try it. And we did it on a very regular basis then, 2 times a week for month and month. In the beginning, we only wanted to rehearse lines, but then it was clear that the situation would go on for longer. So we reinvented the play we were doing into a Zoom performance in 2 parts, which we did. with the help of the venue we are connected to. We are connected to a theater in Düsseldorf that helps us with everything, with stage and stuff and advertisement. We are very lucky that we've got this venue. And they hosted our 2 Zoom performances. So I could show just a 1 minute, if there's time left, a 1 minute part of our Zoom performance, which we shot it in advance and showed it. We had then a live performance, but the film itself was filmed in before, and due to unreliabilities with the internet and everything. So Jack, would you please show the part? It's from a Goldoni play.
Hab ich bestellt. Dachte, ein kleiner Imbiss kann nicht schaden. Und? Schmeckt's euch? Yummy, yummy! Schön knusprig!
So this was ironically a play about tourism. It's called The Vacation, and we made it into a play originally about over-tourism and the typical all-inclusive ignorant Western tourists in Pattaya. So we decided then to do it like that, and I bought a wallpaper, this photorealistic wallpaper of some Caribbean background, and cut it into pieces and drove to every place to give it to the people, and they pinned it behind their computers, and so that's what we did with it. But I must say, I think it was very, very good that we had this Zoom sessions, and that kept us together as a group and kept the corporate spirit. But it was also stressful because many of the actors, they don't hear anymore very well, and it was stressful for them. In partly the rehearsals, and also the internet is very poor in Germany in general, but we don't have broadband in a lot of places, and it was so unreliable that it was quite a nuisance to do it. So we are very happy that we can rehearse again live, and we hope that'll continue like that.